And now, Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. That is something that has been said, Bucky, 1,000 times, my friend. The 1,000th episode of Move the Sticks. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm great. How about that? You think about the accomplishment and milestones in this business to be able to get to 1,000 podcast episodes and not doing it daily. Like, that's a long time. Some staying power.
No doubt, man. That's why it was worth us coming in studio together. We don't get to do this very often. We do it more in the spring as we're doing draft shows and everything.
Yeah.
But this was a big enough one. We had to come in, get a chance to be around each other. Look, we're gonna have a fun episode today. We're gonna go down memory lane. We're gonna play some clips from the past. We have some surprises, I guess, that we are not aware of that are coming our way. So we've got that as well. We're gonna send out some thank yous to everybody who's helped make this whole thing possible since 2014. This first episode of this podcast was in September of 2014. So it's been quite a ride. And I got to say, just at the very top, I'm not getting sappy or sentimental here, but as two people have known each other for over 20 years, if you'd have come back, I always think about this. If you'd have come back to us when we're at Cal Berkeley at a morning practice.
What is a podcast?
We wouldn't, that didn't exist. That didn't exist.
We're leaving chasing certain dreams that we both had of being general managers and those things.
Mm-hmm.
Then now we're going to work on the media side, and we're going to become media scouts and talk about the game and players and all this other stuff. And we're going to do it for public consumption. Yeah. To think that we would be at this point right now, it's kind of crazy, but it has certainly worked out well. It's been a lot of fun. I think you and I have grown closer throughout this experience, being able to finish each other's sentences, being able to kind of be like-minded about a bunch of different things relating to the game and outside of the game. It's really been a fun experience. And then all the people that we've kind of met along the way, those that we've interviewed, those that have worked with us, all those people. And so it's been a great ride, but I'm looking forward to not only like celebrating the 1,000th episode, but then beginning to think about how we're going to do the next 1,000.
I know. And think about it, again, this is a decade, and I know we've got a lot more to go here. And the fun thing is, hopefully you guys that are listening or that watch us and see the videos on social media, YouTube, all the different channels of where we have this show, we're trying to just learn, and hopefully you can learn a little something along with us. So that's been the goal here all along. All right, we're going to jump into this right now. I'm being told by Nabil that we have a surprise video here. To a little message, a little video message here. So let's. I don't know what's coming. Let's check that out. What we got?
When I first started in the NFL, I received some wise advice from an old scout. He said, those who cannot play go into coaching. Those who cannot coach go into scouting. And those who cannot scout start a podcast talking about scouting. Now, luckily, that statement does not apply to you two. You both had decorated playing careers and NFL scouting careers. And you both do a tremendous job educating and entertaining football fans around the world. So congratulations on 1,000 episodes, and I'm looking forward to 1,000 more.
This is Joe Douglas of the New York Jets. Congratulations to Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks on their 1,000th episode. It's always good to see two former Road Dog college scouts doing so well. Congratulations, guys.
DJ and Bucky, congratulations on your 1,000th episode. That is really cool. Not many people get to hang around that long, so you guys are obviously doing something right. Now, I wanted to do it right now because I know in a couple of weeks, DJ's going to be pulling for App State to beat us, so I'm not speaking to him. But, Bucky, you're always welcome back in Chapel Hill, and I'll always be on your show. So congratulations, guys. You've been the best at what you do, and may you have many more.
Hey, Buck, just wanted to say congratulations to you and DJ for your continued success in your 1,000th episode.
Congratulations, DJ, for 1,000 episodes. All right, DJ, Bucky, what an accomplishment. A milestone episode. Hooray. Let's not forget why it exists in the first place. There would be no Move the Sticks if I was better at my job. If I were better, Bucky and I would be celebrating the Draft Tracker podcast 10,000th episode right about now. But no, I'd be mediocre and just hail it in. So hence the celebration for you two. Well, enjoy it, because I won't.
So DJ and Bucky, 1,000 episodes of Move the Sticks. You're valued. I mean, you guys are one percenters. You're going to be making these quarterback salaries getting to 1,000 episodes. I mean, we running backs, we may do like 1,000 yards worth of work, but 1,000 episodes? Yeah, I think we could treat it like running backs do by the time we get there. But seriously, congrats, fellas. Well done. Love you guys. Keep on killing it. You guys are serving the people and doing it right. Take care.
Hey, congratulations. What you've accomplished speaks volumes about your desire and work ethic. What a tremendous accomplishment by you two guys. Your love of the greatest game in the USA comes through. Don't let that flame ever, ever die. Wishing you nothing but continued success.
Hi, this is Tom Coughlin. I want to congratulate DJ and Bucky on the 1,000th edition of their podcast.
So Nabil asked me to send a congratulatory video to you guys for the 1,000th episode, but I've been on like 300 of these. Why am I not on the other side of this thing here? So I guess, like, congrats on 700. Whatever. All right. Kidding. Obviously, it's been a blast to be a small part of this immense success that Move the Sticks has been. You guys have established a phenomenal brand, unique, insightful, entertaining analysis. Always. Can't wait for 1,000 more, guys.
Oh, that is awesome. Hey, well done back there.
That's
Nabil, getting that all together.
Good job. How about that?
If you're listening and didn't recognize a couple of those voices, I mean, that was Tom Telesco, the GM of the Chargers. That was Joe Douglas from the Jets. Bucky's coach, Mac Brown, the head coach of North Carolina. Our buddy Matt Money Smith, who I work with on the Chargers, who was with us on the Draft Tracker podcast.
Hilarious.
Steve Weiss, who's a legend here at NFL Media, a good buddy of ours. Ron Wolf, Hall of Famer Ron Wolf, Buck, who's been a mentor of yours. Tom Coughlin, another one of your coaches and mentors, and, of course, finishing off there with Rhett. That was awesome to hear from everybody.
No, it's so great, man. It's so great that they took the time to kind of recognize us on the wonderful accomplishment. But without them, like, this obviously is impossible to have guys volunteer their time to talk to us, to share, to continue to educate us as we're trying to also educate so many of you guys, fans, and those guys. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm just really excited to see all the people because some of them we haven't seen for a while.
No,
we haven't seen.
No,
in a while.
That was really cool, man. And again, thank you to you guys for listening, for keeping us around, so we can have great guests like that come on and join us. So I guess I'm being told we have another shout out, which may or may not be as kind as the one we just listened to. So I guess we can let these nerds talk. What do we got, Nabil?
Congratulations to Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks on the 1,000th episode of Move the Sticks. We are all huge fans.
Organic. We were asked by management to send this message, but I would let you know that even if I weren't asked by management, I would like to congratulate both of you. Daniel, Bucky, excellent work. Here's to another 14 years of your production.
Yeah, can't wait to see you when you guys come back during draft season. That'll be great.
The feud is alive. The NFL feud is alive.
It's alive. It's alive and well. You do a great job of kind of stoking the fire a little bit, getting the flames going. But no, it's great. Like, hey, we appreciate them for recognizing. I don't know what number they're on. I mean, they may have a few more than we have, but we'll recognize them when they get a milestone. When they have a milestone moment.
No, I know. And once they start releasing their podcasts in America and not just in Europe, it's going to be huge for their future. So I'm waiting for that day. I'm excited for you guys when that happens. That's going to be big. We were thinking about what's transpired since we started this thing. Like, that's a long time. 2014, Bucks, a minute ago now. It's a long time we've been doing this, and was thinking about a couple different things and how they've changed. Our roles have changed. We've been on different shows. Things have have evolved over the years. But I mean, I was thinking, like, if I had told you in 2014, like the wildness, we have a pandemic, like we were. That's kind of where we started doing the show apart, because we had initially been together in the studio all the time.
Yeah, it was a game changer. It was a game changer that kind of opened up the world to so many different possibilities. Like when the pandemic hit, you had to change the way that you worked. You worked remotely. So we went from being side by side, 3 days a week, to now we're finding different ways to use the different technologies that we've used, whether it's our home cam or whether the different apps that we've used to be able to kind of do these shows. It's amazing how much it's changed, but it also, I would say, has changed for the better, because now we are remotely. We can go 5 days a week and we can talk about anything. We can fire it up and kind of talk about the latest trends and the topics and the things that hit. And it's been a great evolution and advancement of the podcast, just kind of moving with the times.
Yeah, no doubt. And I do want to give a shout out here to Rhett, who you heard at the end of that tribute video, who and he's not exaggerating. He probably has been on.
Oh, for sure. PBU's been there.
Yeah, the PBU, the primary backup, if you don't know, Rhett Lewis. So he's been a big part of this thing. I think about Lance Zerline, who when one of us is out, he's always on the ready to jump in and help us, does a ton of stuff at the Combine. Buck, we've taken this show to media days, Pac-12 media days. We've taken it to the Combine. You do a ton of work at the Combine with the pod, getting that thing going.
Think about spring training, baseball, bring baseball general managers in winter meetings and stuff like that. So we've done a few different things to kind of have a worldwide view, I guess a panoramic view on the scouting process and how we can learn from others. It's really been fun.
Yeah, and we're going to get to some of the highlights here. We're going to air some clips from some of our favorite conversations we've had with guests over the years. But I was also thinking about how some other things have changed in the NFL. I mean, think about, Steve was joking about it, like the running back position, how that's the value has changed there.
We've made one of the marquee positions, and now it's a complementary position.
We've seen the size of players. Think about that. Remember the smaller QBs? We can't play with smaller QBs.
Oh, you had to be taller than 6'2". I mean, it was tough. Even when Drew Brees and Russell Wilson and all those guys came out, like, hey, he's a great player, but we got to put him in the third round just because of the size. And now you talk about a guy like Bryce Young being able to go number 1 overall, who doesn't necessarily check off all the boxes when it came to the physical dimension.
Thumpers. Remember inside linebackers who were thumpers?
Yeah, heavy-handed. Got to be able to take on blocks.
Yeah.
Want to run and stop the running game. Yeah, nah, we're not in that era anymore.
Yeah, then we went from the power forward wide receivers to now some of the smaller wide receivers. We've seen now teams playing with 3 safeties. We've seen big nickels that have come into the league. Like, the game has morphed and changed, and we've been fortunate enough to kind of keep track of it and follow these trends over the last 10 years, man.
And I think sometimes we've been on the front end of the trends when we talked about the program looking more like the college game and the high school game, and how some of these quarterbacks that we used to see on Friday nights in our respective areas have now kind of become the go-to position, the prototype of what we wanted the position, the athletic, mobile guy that can make it happen with his legs, but also has the ability to work inside and outside the pocket as a passer.
I wrote down some things here that we talked about, and I'm not saying we were first on these things, but I'm saying we were having legitimate conversations on this stuff. If we weren't first, we were near the front of the line.
Oh, for sure.
And having a chance to get this conversation kicked up. How about positionless players?
Oh, man, we talked about that a long time. It was a long time. We talked about the hybrids and so many different ways to utilize these guys that can move in and out. We think about offensively, the San Francisco 49ers are a team that is a positionless team. You think about Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel being able to play running back and wide receiver. George Kittle, who's half man, half amazing because he's an offensive tackle that plays tight end. Kyle Juszczyk being the fullback. And so we saw that trend. And then you talked about it on defense. So many of these guys being able to bounce in and out. You talk about now, it used to be kind of like an outlier to have a big nickel.
Yeah.
But now we're having those nickel safeties that are linebackers and the like. And the game continues to evolve where we're seeing so many positionless players playing. We feel like we talked about it a lot on the podcast.
3 Ps. We kicked that off about quarterbacks. Get them a good play caller. Get them some protection. Get them some playmakers.
It continues to work out, and it's been one of the things when you look at the young quarterbacks who have success. You have to have those things in place. The play caller has to help them, set them up. You got to make sure they're protected so they can see downfield, and then you got to have some guys that can go get the ball for them. You have those 3 things, a young quarterback can fly.
How about, Buck, your line about shooters and scores, using a basketball to football comparison for quarterbacks?
Yeah, quarterbacks, and I mean, going all the way back to, I mean, we've talked about some of these quarterbacks who, man, they're like you want them drawn up. Like they can throw it from the pocket. It's pretty. It's effective. And then you have other guys who like your Josh Allen, your Lamar Jackson. It doesn't always look classic. It doesn't look like the teaching tape. But then they find a way to get their team into the end zone. They find a way to have a huge impact on the game. And it's not always the way that it used to be in yesteryear.
We talked about craftsman was the phrase that we've used on this podcast for a decade, talking about receivers. We did deep studies on that and guys that hit and guys that miss, and it seems to be the guys that are craftsmen, pure route runners have success. Pass rushers is an art. We talked about being a craftsman as an edge rusher and how that translates to the next level as well.
Yeah, technique, being able to have the technique over just the raw athleticism, how the guys who play in the league, the guys who typically dominate in the league for a long time, they're guys who are craftsmen. They're guys who have really taken the technical part of the game and upped the ante more so than just, hey, I'm a superhuman athlete that finds a way to beat you because I have superior attributes.
A couple more things we talked about, the allocation of funds. Where do you invest your money? What are the true premier marquee positions when you think about the passer, the pass protectors, the playmakers, the pass rushers? Like we talked a lot about guys getting the money in those positions, and you had corner in there as well. But it's something that, we monitored and said, okay, it's going to be hard. Off-the-ball linebackers, even tight ends, running backs, it's going to be hard. Interior offensive linemen, hard to put a ton of cash in those positions when you need to allocate those limited resources to those premier positions.
And those premier positions are around and related to the quarterback in the passing game.
Yeah.
So either you're protecting or upgrading the performance of the quarterback, or you're trying to disrupt and destroy the quarterback, either with your pass rush or the playmakers that can take the ball away.
Yeah, we've done plenty of segments on hits and misses over the years, which has been fun. Go back and read old scouting reports and what we got right, what we got wrong, have that conversation. And then I think a one we haven't talked about in a while, but was definitely originated here, was trucks and trailers.
That is the one. I think that is the one that is really transcendent, because in categorizing quarterbacks in those two categories where, hey, you're a truck,
you pull the team,
squad,
yep,
or you're a trailer, the team has to carry you. We're seeing it play out when you look at the National Football League now. Only a handful of trucks that can pay, and those trucks are the ones that are going to command and continue to command $50 million plus annually at the position. You have to be a truck. You have to be able to elevate the performance of those around you, and we have to see it. It has to be visible that you are a guy that is making the difference, not, oh, you have to have all these other things around you to make it happen.
Yeah, and look, if you pay a trailer, you're in trouble.
It comes back to get you.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
So again, these are just some of the themes and terms and things that have made their way into kind of the football lexicon. You'll be listening. You might be driving around listening to a radio show, and you'll hear trucks and trailers.
Yes.
You go, wait a second, that rings a bell. I know where that came from. But that's what's been so fun about our journey on this podcast, is being able to have those conversations. All right, we're gonna go through history. Nabil's done an unbelievable job, pulling some sound from some of our favorite conversations over the years. And we're going to start off with who I think we would all agree is the best player in the NFL, and someone that was definitely a lesson learned going through the draft process that we learned after this interview, and then seeing the success he's had. We were able to say, okay, missed on that one. This is why. It was because of what we learned in this conversation of why this guy was going to be special. Here's our chat, a little snippet of our conversation with a very young Patrick Mahomes. I want to jump into a little bit of the tape here. So I went back and watched a cut-up of all your 3rd and 6+ throws. Okay, so ended up being 93 total plays. And I saw some great stuff in there. I saw a big arm. I saw you off platform, which you're kind of known for, making these crazy throws off platform. But there were times I thought you had a little bit of a clean pocket. I didn't think you were transferring your weight, and got a little bit reckless with the football down the field. How do you balance, you got such physical talent, but how do you balance that talent with being just a little bit more safe with the football? Have teams talked to you about that, and what's your own assessment of your play?
I mean, just knowing the NFL game is different than the Big 12. I mean, Big 12, you have to score almost every drive in order to win the game. Where in the NFL, you can score 14 points and win games. I mean, that wasn't really heard of in the Big 12.
That's not going to get it in the Big 12.
But, so, I mean, college football really in general. But, I mean, it's something where I'm going to have to learn to take a little bit less risk, but at the same time keep that mentality that I want to move the ball. I want to score every drive. But if something happens, we're 3rd and 15, it might be nice just to get nice 8 or 9 yards, punt the ball, and flip the field. And that's stuff that you just have to learn with process and with time in the NFL.
But you're a gunslinger. How hard is it for you to concede that the defense may win on a down and say, hey, I'm just going to dump it to the back? How hard is that for someone who has so much talent, so much arm talent, to say, hey, sometimes they win, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to do it the right way?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I'm going to have to learn as I go. I mean, when I'm young, I might make a couple more mistakes. I mean, I think you see it a lot with Matthew Stafford. I feel like with Matthew Stafford, he was kind of a gunslinger when he first came out. He would always try to take those chances. But as he's kind of settled his game down a lot, he can see he's almost MVP caliber season this last year. So, I mean, he's kind of settled down, and with time, he's learned when to make those throws and when not to.
I'm glad you said Stafford because I have that down in my notes, and just some of the plays and some of the throws I see you make, it's uncanny how much it reminds me of Matthew Stafford. So when you study his game and see some of the different things he can do, have you ever adopted anything, especially right here, watching him throw across his body right there? I mean, we always say, look, no. Oh, okay. You got to have a big time arm to make some of those throws. But when you watch Stafford, do you see a little bit of yourself there?
Yeah, definitely the arm talent of being able to switch your positions depending on where you need to make the throw and what lane you have to throw it in, and then definitely just always keeping your eyes downfield. That's the biggest thing to me. I'm not the fastest guy, so why would I run? Why would I not put it in the hands of the fast receivers, let the playmakers make the plays?
You know, it's funny. You guys talked about Matthew Stafford. I compared you to a little bit of Jay Cutler because Jay Cutler at Vanderbilt had a similar situation where he had to put everything on him. And he was a gunslinger, and it's always been a challenge for him to learn how to tone it down so he could play winning football. When you look at Jay Cutler, do you see any similarities in terms of the way that you play or the talent that you guys have?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, his arm strength is something that I try to get to. I mean, he is a guy who can sling the ball. I've watched him play, but at the same time, he's had some success in the NFL. It's just he hadn't figured it out all the way. But I mean, you see guys like that. I mean, just the heart, passion he's playing with right there. I mean, you want to go out there and throw balls everywhere and throw touchdowns.
What about your comparison you have? Like we talked about what we kind of see in your play a little bit. What do you see in yourself, or what are you trying to strive to be?
Yeah, the guy I try to describe to be, I mean, it's for sure Aaron Rodgers. I watch a lot of his film, how quick his release is, how he extends plays but still gets back to platform and fundamentally sound and makes throws. That's what I'm trying to get to. Because, I mean, he does extend plays and make crazy throws, but you want to see him he gets back to that fundamental sounds outside the pocket.
No question.
You know, I think the big thing with Aaron Rodgers, when you look at him, is he has the ability to play off platform, but he also can play a very disciplined and detailed style of ball, which would be the challenge. When you look at the way that he operates, his mechanics and his footwork, has there been anything that you've been able to glean from just watching him where you say, you know what, I can tighten up my footwork and I think I can play in that manner?
I mean, yeah, you said it. I mean, he does the extend the play stuff. He can do that stuff and kill you there. But if you want to let him put him in the pocket and hold him in the pocket, he can deadly accurate and can kill you that way as well. I think you saw it with the Cowboys this last year. I mean, he tore them up from the pocket, just picking them apart and making throws. And that's just for the fundamentals and really working on his game. And I feel like that's something I'm trying to do and trying to get to.
One of the things I want to do when you were coming in today, I want to refresh myself a little bit because it's been a while since I watched you. So I hadn't seen the TCU game, so I popped that on and watched it. I want to test your recall a little bit here. Late in that game, I want to say a little bit over a minute left in the game. You guys were down 7, need a touchdown. You lead a nice drive right down the field. What was the touchdown pass that you hit right there?
I hit we call it Coke LA lock. It's a little pop play, and then we have a first read's a little like pop by the wide receiver, and then the Z has a delay under coming behind him. I threw it to the under.
You got him and got a touchdown. And they go to overtime. It was a great game.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't think it was ever going to end.
Yeah.
So we ended up going 2 overtimes, right? So then you go and you take off. Describe the play where you had the touchdown run there in overtime.
Yeah, so we had a pass play called. I went through my second read, and I just saw them all open up. They were kind of like a 2-man type thing, so they were kind of all following their guys, and it gets 2-man, the run for the quarterback's deadly. And so I just took off trying to get the first down, and all of a sudden I was like, man, you can get to the end zone. So I just ran it up in there.
I loved it. It was a good tape, man. How about that? That was the moment. That was the light bulb coming on, and we said it. We walked out of that studio. I remember it. We walked out of that studio and said, I wish we weren't to the end of the process because I would adjust this just off of that conversation of how smart that dude was. And, and I've heard this, over the years times, and I hear something different every time. We always talked about the recall was awesome. You know what else struck me, Buck? I probably was a little more pushy and kind of like challenged him a little bit, critiqued him a little bit. He didn't bow up. Didn't nothing. He was just like, no, yeah, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on that. Like that was impressive.
Yeah, you talked about that part of it. It was the intelligence that he displayed, just the instincts and being able to, we're big on this, like people that can walk you through their process, walk you through certain moments. His ability to recall those games that you alluded to, those plays that you alluded to me, that's next level stuff. That's the stuff that you see Kobe and LeBron always talk about, those things. So Pat Mahomes was able to do that. And I just think his maturity, that he displayed there. You talk about the hard questions, but not really flinching or bowing up. Just, okay, cool. I understand where you can see that, but here's how I'm going to get better. And also knowing with enough humility the pro game's different than the college game.
Yeah.
So I know I have to value the ball more and do all those things. He alluded to all of that in that conversation.
Golly, we both look so young too, man.
Our fresh.
Golly, who knew
Baby
podcast
face.
was so hard on somebody?
Our glasses all the time now.
Yeah, man. All right, that was our longest cut. We've got a bunch more we're going to get through. There'll be smaller clips here about some of our favorites. The next one up is actually Sauce Gardner. You had a chance to visit with him at the Combine and talk to him about his nickname.
We're going to get right to it. Because the nickname is so nice. I have to know, where did the nickname come from?
Man, Little League, man. When I was 6 years old, shout out to Coach Tez, man. He gave it to me when I was playing Little League football, man. It's just stuck with me all the way to here.
So what were you doing at 6 years old to get a nickname Sauce?
He just told me he seen a vision that he don't think I seen. But, man, I had the moves, man. I was playing running back. I was saucy with the juke moves.
That's the hard-hitting journalism you get on this show.
Hard-hitting. That's one of the fun things that about our job and who we encounter, to be able to talk to Sauce before he makes his way into the National Football League, and to know that he's the same guy. The same guy that you get in those interviews are the same ones that we've seen, the same one we saw behind the scenes when it came to Hard Knocks. That's who he is. But I love the fact that at 6 years old, he had a nickname, Sauce, because he was so saucy with his movement.
Yeah, I'll get a chance to learn about prospects on this on this show and what the origin of a cool nickname is. All right, next one here. This is Mike Vick. Get a chance to visit with Michael Vick, and this was talking about Lamar Jackson and how he would be as a quarterback.
I think I know your answer, and you're going to be in agreement with the two guys you're talking to here. But this kid is he's a quarterback, correct, Michael?
Yeah, he's a quarterback. I've been hearing about things being thrown out there about him playing receiver, and they'll probably say he needs to play defensive back next. But listen, the kid is 6'3", 215 pounds. I know the hashes are wider in college football, so it creates a little bit more space in terms of running with the football and stretching the field, moving the pocket. But for anybody to say that Lamar Jackson is a receiver, I don't think they understand the quarterback position. I don't think they appreciate the value that can be brought from the quarterback position. It was just kind of mind-boggling to me to hear that. And I can understand why those type of things can be said, because people don't know him. They haven't sat down with him in the film room. They haven't talked to him and had discussions with him. They're only going off what they hear, and you can't live in this world going off what you hear. I know perception, outweighs reality pretty much, 100% of the time in this world. But you got to give the kid a chance. He's a quarterback, hands down. If I was a GM, I would draft him. Whether it's the first round or fourth round, you look at all the quarterbacks coming out in the draft, they're all projects. Nobody's guaranteed to do anything.
Well, exclamation point on that one over the years.
MVP quickly in his career. Mike Vick being able to point out Lamar Jackson, really being able to say, and that later in the interview he talked about, this dude is way light years ahead of where I was at the same time, because Michael Vick was a player at Virginia Tech who was doing this on a big stage, had the big national championship game against Florida State. That kind of set him up. He saw those similar traits in Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson validated those comments by having an MVP season in which he was absolutely ridiculous as a runner and thrower.
Yeah, no, it's again, I feel like you get a chance to be ahead of the curve with some of the people get to have on and have those conversations. In terms of quarterbacks, I don't know. Maybe I guess Tom Brady's in the discussion now at the end of his career, but for a long time it was this man all by himself and Joe Montana as the greatest quarterback of all time. We had a chance to visit with him talking about the traits that all those great quarterbacks possess.
Joe, I did a project when I was with the Ravens. We went back and we looked at all the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and we're trying to find, what's the common trait that they possess, and all obviously, all different sizes, arm strengths, athletic ability. But the word that I came up with just looking at all of them was just poise. And when we think of you, that's the first word that comes to mind, was just your poise. How would you describe that? What that is? What poise is?
I think it's concentration and it's preparation. One of the things that Bill also strived was, coming to work prepared every day, not Sunday, right? He wants to see it every day. And for us, back early on, we never had the little earpieces. So we had a lot of plays in our offense. And we'd have 120 some passes in every game plan, 35 plus runs. Every one of those had 2-3 formations, and you had to memorize them all. and you had to memorize which order he wanted them in. And because we would get signaled just to play, and so you had to know. And so it took a lot of preparation every day, all the way, even all the way to Friday night was a big, crazy preparation day for me. And, it was so funny. We lost in the championship game to the Redskins, and we went to the Pro Bowl, and Joe Theismann was there. And first day, Bill's coaching the team because that's how that all worked back then. And he puts in 35 passes in day one. And Joe goes to me, he goes to me, wow, I can't believe he put in all the pass plays in one day. I go, are you crazy? He can install till Saturday. He goes, there's nothing. He goes, I'm not even studying. I go, 35 is nothing. It comes day one. Day one's usually like 80 or 90. Sure enough, he installed. He goes, man, I don't know how you do all that. He goes, how do you? I go, just get used to it after a while.
How cool is that, man? I'm the fun thing about going down memory lane is I don't know if I'd written that down. Poise equals concentration plus preparation. That's awesome.
No, it is awesome. And I remember from that interview, he talked about like first class, just how first class, how they operated, how they practiced, the standard that they had. They talked about the ball never hitting the ground on certain days of the week and how you hold your teammates accountable. When we have an opportunity to bring on those special guests, those guests who not only are gold jacket guys, but they've touched greatness in so many different areas. I love it when they're able to convey some of those stories.
Yeah, again, maybe one of the best clutch performers in NFL history, too. The moment got big, it was not too big for Joe Montana. All right, we heard from him a little bit earlier. Let's play a little snippet from a conversation we had on a training camp visit to the Chargers with their general manager, Tom Telesco.
It's funny. I had a conversation with one of your mentors, Bill Polian, and he talked about the growing importance of safety. And it's overlooked kind of in the scouting world. But now you have a guy like Derwin James. Why is it important to have a guy who has versatility to play the run, to play the pass in the middle of your defense?
I just think we asked them to do so much. And what's funny is even like 20, 30 years ago, I think they were still asked to do a lot of different things. Tackle like a linebacker, be able to cover. But I think because the game is much more spread out, the safeties, at least in our defense, are really down in the box tackling safeties. If they can't cover real well, they have a hard time playing for us. So, to find a safety that has some corner-like movement and cover skills, but can tackle, like I'd like to say like a linebacker, but just tackle, get people down, they're hard to find. So there's a lot of responsibility on those guys, and then all the communication that goes on. So, yeah, it's like 20 years ago, safeties, you didn't see them get drafted that high that often. Even Ed Reed went, I think, late in the first round. Can you imagine that? But I've kind of changed a little bit where, maybe that wasn't a premium position when I started in this business, but now there is no doubt in my mind it's a premium position because they play a lot and they ask a lot of them. We're only playing 2 linebackers usually. It used to be 3, so it's just the game's changed.
Again, trying to keep up with trends, Buck. Get a chance to talk out at training camp. It's one of the fun parts of the gig.
Yeah, it is one of the fun parts of the gig. And to be able to do it with a real live example in Derwin James, to be able to use him as the talking point. Tom Telesco being able to reference, because I had a conversation one day with Bill Polian, so they had worked together. So being able to kind of take it and make it almost a full circle moment where you're beginning to hear, I don't want to say the scouting gospel, kind of handed down from one generation to another.
Well, we also talked a minute ago about positionless players, and we have a clip there going back to the combine conversation. This is a question you had for Howie Roseman, GM of the Eagles.
DJ and I have a thing where we're saying football is moving to positionless ball, where you're seeing these guys that are wide receivers, but they play running back, they're wing backs, and then on defense you're seeing these safeties drop down in the box and play linebacker. How has that changed the evaluation process for you guys, the versatility?
Well, it goes to what you're seeing go on in high school football and then college football. And so you can try to change, what guys know, but we're in this win now mode, all of us in the National Football League. And so we have a short period of time. Like, it's no longer where you get your first or second round picks and they have 2 years and then, you're able to hold on to them after that. Like, they got to come play. And they got to come play now. So you can either try to adjust their skill set, and now you're taking a guy, you're taking him out of his environment, you're bringing him into a new city, you're putting money in his pocket, you're letting him live by himself, you're teaching him a new scheme, and now you're changing his whole technique and what he does well so it suits you, or you're saying, here's a guy, this is what he does well, and this is what we're going to utilize. So you better adjust, and it better be about what they do well and how you can acclimate them into your scheme, as opposed to this is what we do well and now you have to adjust, or you're going to be wrong a lot. And, these positionless players, and it's funny because we just did a podcast with our website, and lo and behold, they use DJ's positionless players, right from me. And I had to remind our fans that some of these positionless players that just two of you are talking about aren't getting anywhere close to 21 in the draft. This is not like these unicorn positionless players are there in the 6th round.
Fair point. It's a fair point from Howie Roseman on that one, Buck.
A fair point, but what I love and going down memory lane, just how these things have kind of shown up in today's game. And then to talk to him, you think about the Philadelphia Eagles and what they're doing and how they're doing
the roster they've
players that they've assembled, and the depth and the versatility of the guys they have at the front line that can bounce all over and do all these things. Howie Roseman was so generous to give us the time, but I love this part of what we're able to do.
We get a chance to visit with Super Bowl winning head coaches. Also get a chance to visit with a lot of national championship winning college coaches, including Clemson's Dabo Swinney.
Coach, it's interesting because I'm really close to one of your former players, Dexter Lawrence. Dexter played for my dad. Dexter played for my dad in high school at Wake Forest. Yeah, and so Dexter always would rave about the culture that you've created down in Clemson. He just talked about how great of a man you were, how great the program was. For our listeners, what is the culture down in Clemson? What is it about? What have you put in place to help young people grow and thrive?
Relationship, love. We serve their heart, not their talent. And our program is about what's best for the players. And, now sometimes what's best for the players don't like. But I think at the end of the day, there's an old saying that says rules without relationship leads to rebellion. And, we have relationships, and we have transparency, and we communicate. Lots of trust and respect and communication. We've built a family atmosphere that's very real and genuine. It's not something you can fabricate. We appreciate each other. We talk about appreciation. We teach servant leadership. Nobody's better than anybody else. How can you brighten somebody's day? So we just, every day it's just woven into our culture here. We create opportunities for our players, certainly as football players, but more importantly as men, through our Paul Journey program. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, it's not just the people involved, but the intentions of the people involved. We're very intentional in what we do. And, it's about graduating our players and equipping them with the tools that they need to be successful on and off the field. It's about making sure they have a great experience and that they win, but it's in that order. And so everything in our program is geared toward that.
That's outstanding there from Coach Swinney. And I always love about the interviews that we do, and if you've listened to us for a long period of time, my favorite thing on the show is when we have players that are at Clemson that we have on, and we get a chance to retell the story of Bucky playing against Clemson. Going down to the bottom of that hill. Come on down and get this whooping.
Come on down, Tigers. Come on down. The price is right.
The price
is right.
They just light up. They light up when they hear that story.
They light up, and they all have the same reaction.
Oh, no. You didn't do that.
You didn't do that, did you? That probably didn't end too well.
No.
It didn't. It was a lesson learned. It was one of those things we talk about, a little humility.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned a great lesson of humility going down there.
True story. True story as well. That video was probably, I don't know, a handful of years old, maybe 4 or 5 years old. I wore that shirt 2 days ago.
Consistency is the key.
It speaks quality to the athleisure wear, holding up well over the years.
Yes.
All right, how about Penn State's James Franklin? We've had a chance to visit with him a couple times, and this was a little snippet when we asked him. We're asking a bunch of guys this question. The best high school football player you've ever seen. Best high school football player that you've ever seen. Could be somebody you signed, didn't sign, but just best high school football player you've ever seen. We've heard Allen Iverson. We've heard Frank Gore. We've heard an unbelievable list of players, so we want to get your answer on that one.
It's hard for me to say that because I'm going to piss a lot of people off if I don't say them. That's the
I know.
thing.
Everybody's done it. Everybody's done it.
it's hard for me not to say Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean?
Say Saquon. Say Saquon. It's okay. You're allowed.
You're allowed.
You're allowed to say your guy.
You're allowed.
But I don't want to come off like a homer where I'm saying my guy. It's hard to go against that guy. There's a cool picture that I got in my basement with me and Sean Spencer, my D-line coach, who had that recruiting area. And it's a picture taken from a local newspaper, and it's shot over Saquon's shoulder. It's Saquon's back, shot over his shoulder, and me and Sean are standing on the sideline scouting the game. You know, so it's a really cool shot. But yeah, I'm gonna go with my man Saquon.
Nothing wrong with that, Coach. Nothing wrong with that at all.
You're allowed, Coach. That was a good one. We had so many great stories. By the way, I think these videos, Nabil, can you confirm that for us? I think we actually have a camera on Nabil back there. Nabil, the high school stories, I know the LeBron James one, that's on YouTube, right? You can find that on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube, Twitter, I could resurface it.
Yeah, no, but I mean, we asked a bunch of people, best high school player you had.
Yeah, LeBron.
We had some other videos, too. Who else did we have for some of those answers? I know you had hunted up a bunch of video and found video of some of those high school kids.
Yeah, we also had LeBron's high school coach on, and we had a bunch of guys, a bunch of college coaches over the years answer that.
Yeah, again, Allen Iverson.
The LeBron James one is interesting because I remember Urban Meyer telling the story about LeBron and just seeing the big kid. Like going out there like, hey, who's that kid? That kid. Oh, it's just
he stood out.
All-time leading scorer in the NBA. That's all. Don't worry about him, Coach. He's not going to be there for you.
Yeah. Oh, man. I was trying to think of some of the other ones, the other high school. Do you remember? Because we went to Pac-12 Media Day. We asked all those guys, best high school player you'd ever seen.
It was just such a collection of just like great players. You know, I can't remember if Reggie Bush was in that conversation. Maybe that was just our own feelings of just watching him in college and that stuff. But it was great to kind of walk down memory lane. When
I think did Eric Weddle get a vote from somebody?
He might have. Like, he was such a good player at Utah. I can only imagine what he was like in high school.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was
good high school coach too.
Oh yeah, no question. He's at Rancho Bernardo High School down in San Diego.
Good
all right. Gosh, what was it, Nabil? What did we have?
We had David Shaw. We had him say Andrew Luck, and we had Christian McCaffrey was one that was said.
Yeah, he was on the homer train too. Like
everybody got to pump your guys. That's the way that works. All right, let's get to another quick one here. I think this is our last cut that we have. This is on our conversation. We used to, we do the 360 episodes.
Yeah.
So if you've never heard those before, you can go back in history.
Those are classics.
We would find, usually 3 or 4 guys each draft class, and we would do a deep dive, talk to everybody that we could find that knew these guys well. And if we think about who the favorite is currently to be the MVP through 3 weeks, it's early. But Tua Tagovailoa has been the 3-game MVP. And he's off to a great start. And when he was coming out, we did a Tua 360, and I had a chance to talk with Trent Dilfer, who was with you on the Elite 11 and got to know Tua, and also was training Tua in the run-up to that year's draft. But here's a little snippet of what he had to say about Tua.
And this is maybe the best thing I can say about Tua. He's a one-rep guy. He can change in one rep. You can ask him to do anything you want him to be able to do. I've never personally seen a prospect as good as Tua. I think the kid is beyond special.
I don't know that, what separates him to me, like I always try and figure out what's the guy's superpower. If you're a quarterback, what is the superpower you possess? To me, I just keep coming back to that word twitch and the quickness that he has.
Because there's a lot of guys that are twitchy, but then they lack power. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of guys that are powerful, but they lack twitch. Tua's the ultimate combination of both for me.
There you go. Again, so many fun conversations over the years. 1,000 episodes, Buck.
1,000 episodes, great players, great coaches, great contributors to the podcast, and just in terms of like just bringing an insight and wisdom. And sometimes there's something to being able to, if you don't have the answer, but being able to go and ask somebody that can give you the answer. And so Trent and some of the other guys that we just saw in that video montage, it was great to be able to kind of tap into their experience and expertise as we always are trying to get smart.
No doubt. I jotted down a couple names here and then add to it, fill in the blanks. I'm not going to be able to get to everybody, but this podcast originally started with TD.
TD
started it. TD has gone on to unbelievable. He's gone on to new heights.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
Yes.
Literally and figuratively. He's left what we were doing here. He was working with LeBron's group over at Uninterrupted and had launched a bunch of those pods. Then now, if you look at probably the most popular sports podcast right now, and especially with the latest news, New Heights with the Kelseys, that's TD running the show over there as well. He's the one who kind of got this thing launched.
He did. He had some great ideas. He did a really good job. Then we had Will Powell. We had Sully.
Yep. We had Kent. We had Arjuna.
Yeah, Arjuna came through for a minute. Yes.
So we've had a bunch of different guys. But I want to just take a minute here and give a special shout out because all those guys have been instrumental in this thing. But none of them have produced as many episodes as our current producer, Nabil. Nabil, I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier. What do you think? Maybe 400 of these things? How many of these things have you done?
I think about 600. I started around
600. That's right.
600. Nabil, we would
600. Nabil,
we would give you like a replica college jersey to support your fandom, but we just don't know which one to get. I wouldn't know.
Depends
which one.
on the week.
I don't know. I don't know who I would get. Like, so it would be hard. I'm glad now that he's all the way back on the Packers.
Yeah, he jumped off for a minute.
He jumped off when Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets, and he's back because Jordan Love is kind of looking like he may be the next one to kind of pick up the baton and carry for a little bit.
Well, the thing I love about Nabil, first of all, for those that, you get to hear him on an episode here or there. He does all the work, man.
Yeah,
he edited. Trust me, when we're recording these things, a lot of times, hey, stop down, take this out, add this. We screwed up. Let's do it over again. He's got to do all the editing. All this stuff goes into video, which he helps get all that organized and orchestrated because every podcast episode we have has a video component to it. Obviously, it lives in its entirety, but then he'll cut it up and blast that out on social. So it's a lot of work that goes on with that. He's I've never heard him complain one time.
No.
Anytime I ever call him, it's my favorite thing because my son will be in the car with me. I'll pick him up, and then if I got to call Nabil on something, he answers the phone the same way every time. I don't know if you know this.
No.
But so I'll go, hey, DJ, everything okay?
He's worried. He's worried.
He just wants to make sure that everything's smooth. But anyway, he cares. He cares a tremendous amount. He's really good at his job, and he's stuck with us for a long time, and he's loyal to the soil. In fact, I think we have a clip of Nabil because he had some words for those that maybe not be on board with us here.
Oh,
what we got?
Yo, what does this episode mean to all the haters? 1,000 episodes. Let's go.
See, he's getting ready to bow up, and he's literally trained, and he literally trains MMA. So any other podcast producers want to have a go? I mean, we got our guy. We'll take our guy.
Cage match.
As long as it's in his weight class. Let's not get carried away here.
Like the
115 big guys.
115 pounds.
135.
Down there with the straw weights.
I cut weight.
Yes. But you know who else? Who we should give a special shout out to? Mark Brady, who's no longer here. But Mark was really a driving force of this podcast in the early stages.
How about Mark and Tom?
And Tom Brady as well.
Yes.
Jason Kleiman's been over this thing, helped run this thing for several years now. And again, continue to give us
You know what
support.
I love about Kleiman though? Like the last couple of years, like it's coincided with a lot of Dodger success, a lot of Dodger success.
Regular season, that is.
A lot of
regular season success.
I know you're still gonna be.
We eliminated the Giants yesterday, though, huh? How about that?
But it's great. I certainly hope you guys can stay in for the party. I hated.
What happened? The enemy of the enemy is my friend, or whatever. Does that not matter anymore? Come on. Anyways, again, I know there's people saying I've listened to 1,000 episodes, and if I have to hear about the Padres one more time, I'm done. I'm unsubscribing. Nabil, what do we have here? We have a cake or something? What do we got?
I'll bring it out to you guys right now.
Oh, there you go. See, we do this thing right. 1,000 episodes, Bucky Brooks. 1,000. How about that? How great would it be if we walked out of here and they said, "Yeah, you guys are done. This was it. We just let you get to 1,000."
Look at that.
Look at this thing.
How about that?
Is this homemade? I think it's from Albertsons. Okay, that's okay. Just lie to me. Yep,
that's okay.
Yeah,
let's go there.
We got 1,000 cake. You want to hold that up?
Oh, we
so
can
we
hold
can.
it up. We can put
Can you see it here?
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Look at that! Look at that! Can we get a little shot of that thing? That is really nice. And to think, Jesus made this thing this morning. Very nice.
So good.
Well, no. I mean, let's be honest. Dan didn't make this, but it's in danger of getting eaten.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
let's
call a spade here. All right. That's going to do it for us on the 1,000th episode of Move the Sticks. You guys have been here with us. We cannot thank you enough. Here's to many thousand more. And we'll see you next week right here on Move the Sticks.